I can't help but keep laughing. Sia, that smile is so fake. You were just so frustrated backstage. I loved every bit of it. And so, how are you really doing today?
Let me tell you how I really feel. Look, everything was actually hunky-dory and amazing until literally 30, 40 seconds ago where uh, Google Chrome browser just froze. It just, that little spinning wheel and it grays out and you're like, "Oh my god.
Yep. The spit.
No." And I could like
So for
you're just dead in the water.
I know. So for today's intents and purposes, you were throwing a curveball, and let's see if you can hit it out of the park. So let's get to that intro, and we'll get started with today's show. I know you're looking for the dum, but yeah, you were throwing there it is. You were just throwing a curveball. You smashed it out of the park. Today's show is going to be amazing on so many levels. So let's get to that intro, and we'll get going.
All right.
You do know today's show is so exciting because it legitimately combines like all of my passions into one, right? We had this amazing introduction of rock music that you've so kindly created for this show, of which I bang my head to every time we host this show. We're getting ready to talk about baseball and all things Kids on First and raising money. So like today is like a mind-blowing experience. I'm so excited to have Sherry coming on shortly. But Sia, if you didn't know, the World Series is going on right now, and you being from California, I don't know if you're a Dodgers or a Padres fan. Are you either or?
No, I'm nothing really, but I'll go with like, I don't know, the Giants.
San Francisco is your squad. All right, that's a good deal. Yeah, the
Moved
Dodgers.
to the Bay Area. The boyfriend's Bay Area. I just kind of follow along whatever boyfriend at the time. So I guess Giants. I was Angels.
I've only had one for well, you've been with your boyfriend for the last how many years? You're practically married, so you are like a Giants fan at this point. But yeah, the World Series is going on right now. The two most historic franchises in Major League Baseball, the Los Angeles Dodgers and the New York Yankees, are butting heads, if you will, with the Dodgers being up 2-0 and the series moving back to New York. So like, this is perfect timing to have Sherry on and talk all things about Kids on First. But Sia, with not being a baseball fan, do you like sports at all in general?
I like to watch sports from a social setting. So if there's an opportunity to go to a game, I'm there. But can I read any like icing in hockey or a triple play like today? I mean, I get it, but it's not like something that like tickles my fancy as much. Maybe gymnastics, but yeah, or track and field.
All right, so mark it down. Next month when you get out here to celebrate the holidays and go see the Smashing Pumpkins, we're gonna have to do a crash course in baseball. I'm gonna teach you all 9 positions on the field and at least how they're labeled and how to score a game. So that'll be on our task list. But yeah, I'm just so excited. Sherron Cerny's coming on. She's the executive director of Kids on First, based out of Richmond, Virginia, the most amazing charitable baseball organization doing amazing work to uplift impoverished communities, to ensure access to the great game. America's Pastime is afforded for all. And unlike many other charitable baseball organizations, Kids on First and Sherry doesn't just focus on the play on the field. And one of the reasons why I love the game of baseball, it teaches us so much about life in general, but she's taken it a step further. She's teaching participants about financial literacy and manners and so on and so forth, just how to conduct themselves in everyday life. And so that's why when this show was being developed, it was an absolute that she was going to come on at some point. And with me having done a baseball camp yesterday for the SBA Raiders here in Huntley, raising a bunch of money for them, and the World Series going on, like, today was the perfect time to have her on. So as much as I love you, my friend, I'm going to kick you off, and she's going to come on, and we're going to talk all things baseball, otherwise known as talking shop. We're going to talk shop, have a hot stove for the next 20 minutes.
Well, you guys have fun. It's a great cause. I'm all about eating the popcorns and Cracker Jacks. I prefer Cracker Jacks. But anyway, thanks guys. Or is it peanuts and Cracker Jacks? Oh my gosh.
Peanuts and
Anyway,
crack. You
I'm
don't even know. Take me out to the ball game. Get rid of it. Let's go. Put her on. There she is, Sherry. It is just so exciting to have you on. As it goes, and as I mentioned, this opportunity today to have you on combines all of my passions in one. A little bit of music, a lot of baseball, a lot of fundraising. And as I've gotten to know you through LinkedIn and to some other outlets, like, you're an amazing person, and all it is that you do to better individuals' life through the game I love is just so inspirational. And I'll turn it to you here in a second, but I often say, if not for baseball, I wouldn't be who I am or where I am today. And I know that you're creating those same opportunities for less privileged individuals in your area. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you for all you do to better others' lives. And thank you for all you do to move the game of baseball forward. So with that being said, let listeners know who you are, where you're from, what you're doing, and how the hell did you come up with Kids on First?
Okay, so we only have 20 minutes, so I'm gonna do the elevator pitch, which is probably the shortest and most accurate way to do this. First of all, I'm from Minnesota. I grew up about an hour and a half north of Minneapolis, so I am a Twins fan.
Boo hiss, boo hiss.
Which Chris has nowhere to talk right now because he's a Sox fan who's historically the worst team in MLB in a long time.
We weren't supposed to bring that up on the show, by the way.
My bad. So, me as a Minnesotan, as a Twins fan, I'm passionate about baseball. I actually went to school for criminal justice and political science. So, very much into the social justice world. And I started writing for a company called Twins Daily. And during that opportunity, I had a chance to speak with LaTroy Hawkins and Pat Mahomes Sr., some of the best relieving pitchers that the Twins had ever had. Some people will argue with me, but they're not smart, so that's okay. And
I love you.
I will just say that through that opportunity of meeting them and talking to them, I got to learn a lot about Black baseball. And when I took a look around, I definitely learned that while the game of baseball might be growing in some people's minds, it's not necessarily growing in the aspect of we are giving opportunities to our own constituents, if you want to say, our own players, because we have things like PBR, we have things like the perfect game, and what these are manufactured opportunities for wealthier children to play baseball, which leaves out a whole demographic. So I did a little bit of research and started looking into it and found that Black baseball has basically disappeared. It really has. And the reason it has is because we have put gates on fields. We no longer have sandlots. There's no more access and opportunity, and access is going to be your word of the day. So I definitely have had an opportunity to take a look around and realize that there's just no more baseball, and there's no more baseball specifically for the Legion teams, the Pony teams, Dixie League, all of that, because everything is so focused on travel baseball now, and that leaves out a huge demographic of our Black and brown communities. So I decided one day I was just going to start a nonprofit, and how can I change baseball? So that's how I got started.
Listen, you're speaking my love language. You know, I coached college baseball at the Division I level for nearly 10 years. I was around in the game when Perfect Game and PBR were in their infant stages, and I saw the growth of organizations like that. And that's not here, and I'm not here, nor are you, to criticize or diminish the work they're doing to advance the game and the notoriety and the reputation of young players, right? But you're exactly right. I will tell you, in my time as a college recruiter, working with RBI in the ACE program with the Chicago White Sox, it was very evident that college coaches like myself were uneasy or unwilling to go into some of the inner city communities to recruit student athletes. Some of the best players in the world are being found in inner cities, diverse communities, impoverished areas, yet college coaches...
never would have found Andrew McCutcheon.
Yeah, exactly right. And there's two young players that I vividly remember, Blake Hickman and Corey Ray, two outstanding, talented individuals. One chose to come play for us at the University of Iowa. The other went to Louisville and have had great success and great careers. Both are now minor league coaches, one with the Sox, one with the Cubs. And if not for RBI and Ace, right, those young men wouldn't have had the opportunities they had. And so knowing what you're doing in a smaller community like Richmond, working to uplift others to get opportunities like I had, like others continually get with great resources and finances behind them, makes all the difference in the world. And if you guys don't know the game of baseball or the business of baseball, and you know me, I'm telling you with sincerity and from a place of passion that the work that Sherry's doing is important. It is so important within the world, frankly, but more importantly, the world of baseball, and seeing all the great activities you're providing, the tournaments you're giving free access to for players and teams. Like, talk a little bit about that. I know you had a great tournament in August that you just crushed it with. So, like, what are some of the things you're doing aside from just promoting the game? What are some of the actual tangible outlets that the players have at their opportunity through your work?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's actually a couple of things that I've been working on really hard. And the first one that you did mention was our tournament. This past August, I ran a completely free tournament. I had teams come from Maryland, the Bronx, New York City. I had them come from Pennsylvania, and then obviously 757 in Richmond. I had my own team here. And that allowed us to have these kids come in that have never played in a tournament setting before and play the game with no cost. They didn't cover their balls. They didn't cover umpire fees. They didn't cover field fees. They came in. The only thing they had to pay for was their transportation and lodging. I managed to feed them lunch every single day. We also had a showcase where they got to do their metrics, and I had some amazing help from Vision Selects, who's up in Maryland. And that was a really good opportunity. And then the biggest thing that I've done lately, and if you follow me on LinkedIn and on social media, you're going to see that I am now partnered up with the Players Alliance. And that is huge. For those who don't know, the Players Alliance was created by Edwin Jackson, who had a beautiful 12-year career and doesn't get talked about much, Mr. Curtis Granderson and CC Sabathia. So being a part of that, I got to take one student with me, and his name is Damian Ramos, and he is actually from Lower East Side Manhattan, so it's kind of cool, but he lives here now. And we got to go do a showcase, and there were college recruits. It was live. It was an opportunity for him to meet with the pros and learn from the pros. Papa Jack, who was a hitting coach in the majors for decades. We had a chance to meet with Debo or Daryl, who was the White Sox first base manager for 12 and a half years. So we really had an opportunity to meet some of the most amazing people, and absolutely cannot how important that opportunity and opportunities like that are for my youth.
Had to bring the White Sox up and Daryl Boston, didn't you? You just keep breaking my heart at every turn of this show. But listen, I know firsthand the work it is you're doing, the camps you're creating, the tournaments you're providing, the access at nominal costs. The rate at which you're growing the game in your community is probably going to be immeasurable over time, right? And just hearing the partnerships that you've created with the partner or the Players Alliance, Curtis Granderson comes to mind, a Chicago kid, UIC alum, just gave back and contributed a ton of money to that program to build one of the most beautiful stadiums in the inner city, of which now RBI uses on a great consistent basis, right?
Yep.
But none of that work, as you know, and I said the business of baseball earlier, right? The business of baseball is a business, and none of the work you're doing comes free. And you know what folks don't know is I got to meet you briefly last summer through a mutual friend of ours, another colleague in the game of baseball. And you were at your really infant stages, and we started talking, okay, what about this? What about that? But now to see the growth you've had in just under a year, again, none of that comes free, and baseball is a business, So talk a little bit about your funding mechanisms, how it is you go about raising funds to create these outstanding opportunities to put players on the field and to teach them about life.
Okay, so since we are a baby, we are entering year 3 now. Year 1 was basically me learning not about baseball, but like you said, the business of baseball, because there is so much business, and believe it or not, there's politics in baseball. So I've really continued to use my political science degree in order to help myself grow the game. I have been able to do a few things. I am doing a fundraiser in downtown Richmond in December, and that seems to be one thing. We also sell dugout mugs in partnership with Dugout Mugs. So, yay, shout out to Chris. And the other thing that we really do that we're trying to do is just let people know that we're here. I'm not able at this point to do much outside of, hey, here we are. Give if you can, but we are working on grants. We got a grant from the Players Alliance. We are working on getting funding that way, but we are really looking forward to hopefully being at a place where people are willing to donate on a monthly or annual basis. Right now, we're at the end of our tax season. This is a really important time for people who have things like, retirement or HSAs or things like that, that they need to use those tax monies before the end of the year. That is something that I'm really hoping I can get on top of this season. So we do little fundraisers, we do grants. I'm really hoping to get into investments and working with investors this year. So right now it's just word of mouth and, hey, can you support us?
Listen, and that's how all things start, right? That's how I started Hail Hail Auctions. That's how the Walking Tall movement was created, right? But the growth that you've experienced and achieved is
Yeah.
nothing short of miraculous, Sherry. And you should be so, so proud. And those young men and women and coaches and administrators that you impact should feel so lucky to have you on their team. But I got to ask you, one thing that I'm sure listeners or watchers, viewers have on their mind as a Caucasian woman,
Yes.
how did you decide to take that leap and become invested in minorities, right? What about that avenue caused you to say that's my passion, right? Because I'm sure, knowing the game of baseball as I do and having been around many high level players and many personalities, when they see a pretty blonde woman like yourself walking into a dugout, they're like, what is this girl going to do for me, right? Like, it's just the way it goes. And so how did you take that leap, and how are you now such a powerhouse in the game of baseball when the odds were stacked against you?
Well, because I don't take no for an answer. Because I believe in change. Like I said, I've worked in politics, policy, legislation, and criminal justice for 20 years before I started this. So I already have a full career of, asking people for money or trying to make social change.
Uh-oh.
I sorry about that. So, um,
You got a phone call.
no, as you can see, I'm very busy.
Was it
So
a donor? If it was a donor, take that call. If it was a donor,
I,
take that call.
exactly. No donor time. But uh it is not easy, but I think one of the most important things that I've done is I've removed the white and I've removed the woman from my vocabulary, because I know the game of baseball. I know what these kids need. And when I was working in the court system here in Virginia, I was working with a lot of the Black and brown community. And I was told, basically, this is what the rules are of the court. Don't go beyond this. But what I saw was such a cyclical, sickening way that these human beings were being treated. And I'm probably going to do something about this. And this is not what it is, but marijuana charges, right? Like, seeing people have barely any marijuana and then having these astronomical fees that they have to pay. But that was not the one. The one was a woman who had a petty larceny charge because her child did not have shoes. She stole $5 shoes from Kmart, and I do not condone stealing. I do not condone illegal behavior. However, Now this woman has a $2,000 bill with the court for fines, fees, and now she has to pay restitution of $8. She didn't have $8 in the beginning, folks. What are we doing? And when I tried to give her some assistance, I got told that that wasn't my job. And I continually was helping people who didn't understand the justice system understand the justice system. And that was a huge eye opener for me. Also, I had gone to school for immigration law. So that was another context that I could help out in. And so I have just always felt impassioned towards helping the communities, getting rid of gentrification, helping people find ways to find housing, to find things that make things work for them. And I finally found an area where people weren't going to tell me you can't do it that way, because I'm sorry, it's the bottom of the ninth, 2 outs, and I'm tired. But if you take me off that mound, I'm going to be more pissed at you than I ever have been.
Well, folks, if that doesn't compel you to scan that QR code at the bottom of the screen and kick a few bucks, Sherry and Kids on First away, I don't know what will. And you're right. It is the bottom of the ninth. And that's how we should live our lives. 2 outs, bases loaded, and you're either at the plate or on the mound and you got a job to do. And I'm just so thankful that you took on this job, Sherry, because it is work, right? Nothing comes easy. And I've seen firsthand, both behind and in front of the scenes, the wear and tear it has created on you. This hasn't been easy. You've put everything into your efforts on a daily basis. It's owned you in many ways, as the game of baseball and wins and losses have owned me, right? So I get it. I totally get it. So talk a little bit about what the future holds. Where do you plan to take Kids on First? Are you okay?
Yeah, I just love my kids.
I know you do. I know you do. And that's why I wanted to bring you on, right? I will tell you, and there's great men in the game of baseball that I've had great opportunity to get to know, and learning the work that they do and the efforts put forth to uplift the minority communities and provide access for all is so important. And there's not many people like you in the world, let alone a woman who's willing to tear up on camera and show her true passion. And so I just love you for it. And so with that being said, I want to offer my services. If there's something this summer that I can help you create, if it's a camp, if it's a clinic, if it's a showcase, if it's a tournament that I could come out and fly to Richmond, Virginia and provide my services and my expertise and bring some friends along the way, I'm committed to doing that. And so
I would love that. And we are working really hard on not only teams, but I will have a building by the end of year 4. I'm working really hard on creating a safe place for my kids to not only come after school to do homework and things like that, but also play and learn the game of baseball. So I'm working on hiring coaches this summer. I need admin assistants. And obviously, we are going to be running some major showcases here. Also, the Players Alliance and Minority Baseball Prospects. If you haven't heard of them, check them out. They're both going to be coming here to help us with clinics and tournaments and things like that. So, yeah, we are listen, I just want my kids to be able to play the game of baseball. And that comes with umpire fees. That comes with field fees. That comes with giving them a safe space to be able to do that in. So that is our next goal, is to really create that safe space for them and let them know that they have a place that they can go and not only learn about life, like you said, financial literacy. We have something coming up called Futures Day, which is
well, don't talk about that yet. I want to ask you. So no, that's okay. You didn't know. So listen, I understand wholeheartedly the benefit and the need for programs like yours to have an indoor facility, right? What folks may not know about my career, for about 2.5 months when I started coaching at Valparaiso University, I slept in the clubhouse. I lived in the clubhouse for 2.5 months because I wasn't being paid well enough. Yep. I didn't have money for rent. I would sleep on the couch. Our guys would come in and hit at midnight and wake me up, and I couldn't be mad at them for wanting to get better, right? So knowing the initiatives that you've created for Kids on First even helps me become even more dedicated to helping you. And so we're going to talk offline about your strategy to create a program, your strategy to build fields, your strategy to create sponsorship. And I'm going to donate all my time to you. And we're going to develop something that is going to be kick-ass. And I'm committed to it. I have great I have great connections in Richmond, Virginia, still to this day. The former coach at Richmond University is a great friend of mine, Tracy Woodson. He's a World Series champion. And so we're going to get together and we're going to start to brainstorm and we're going to uplift you. Not that you need it, because you're doing an amazing job on your own, obviously.
People in my corner, man. I need someone on first and third so that we can bring it all the way in.
Yep. No, that's what I didn't want to let the cat out of the bag too much, but I now have found myself to be at a point in time in my life where I could dedicate time and I could create energy and give effort towards organizations like yours from afar. So whatever that looks like, you and I and some of our team members are going to continue this conversation. And you have my word, at some point within the next 365 days, I'm going to be in Richmond, Virginia, helping you in some form or fashion. So I just cannot thank you enough in advancing the game that has done so much for me. Listen, I wouldn't have a college degree if not for baseball. I wouldn't have been a professional for 10 years as I was. I wouldn't have great relationships. There is so much through baseball that I owe my life to.
Yes.
But I want to talk a little bit about the development that you're providing, financial literacy, interview skills. The list goes on and on. Not only are you teaching baseball, and baseball teaches life, but you're focusing on life and making sure that those players, those boys, those girls of yours are set up to succeed in life, not just on the field.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is my favorite part, right? So I love baseball. I love watching it. I'm a coach now. I love being able to coach, but coaching doesn't just stop on the field, right? And my goal is to get my kids to professional baseball. What does that look like? That looks like the Frontier League. That looks like the Atlantic League. That looks like an FCL league. That doesn't mean that everybody's going to play at the same level.
And not to mention, not only that, real quick, that looks like being in marketing, being in ticket sales.
Exactly.
There's so many ways to be involved in the game.
Yes. So we are working on something called, if anybody knows, it's ran by MLB. They have the futures game, right? So when you have the, oh my gosh, the Summer Classic, I can't even think of it now, the All-Star Week. So do the minor league guys, and they have the futures games. So what I'm doing is, in a couple of months, I think in February, we're going to have something called Futures Day. So what it is I'm going to take all my athletes and other baseball athletes around the area, and they're going to have a day where they are going to meet with not only my partners, Baseball Advocacy, who helps with college placement for baseball. We are going to be working with a bank to help kids learn about savings. We are also going to be learning about FAFSAs and how to apply for scholarships, how to do your college entrance. And then we are also going to be learning about how to read contracts. How do you read a contract? How do you read a scholarship? Because there's so many things that go into that contract, even for your apartment, your dorm, things like that. So this whole day is going to be centered on, okay, you want to play baseball, but you can play in college, but what about post-college? So now I'm bringing in journalists. I'm bringing in people from the Richmond Flying Squirrels. I'm bringing in media people that can talk to these kids about things they can do off the field, but on the field. They can do things like general manager. They can do things like social media is huge right now, right? Journalism, video. I mean, there's so many things that you can do in baseball that don't require a bat and a ball. And this whole day, Futures Day, is set up for that exactly. We're even going to have someone there who teaches how to interview, how to dress, how to do your resume. So these kids, once a year, are going to get an opportunity to get ready for college, to get ready for that baseball at the next level, whatever their next level looks like. And then we'll follow them to college and we'll get them where we need to go in college. It's just a never ending thing. There's no off season for me. So it's just what is the next thing. But the financial literacy, the literacy itself, the basic understanding of what happens when you move away. I've got a kid who's going to college at VCU. Yeah, and he is not far away from me, but he's far enough away where he's like, Mom, I really miss you. So, being able to get kids prepared for that next step and what does that look like? And a lot of the kids in the Black and brown community are already hyper independent due to their living situation with their grannies, their aunties. They might live with their cousins. It's a one income household. It is a one parent household. So a lot of them are already hyper independent. So I need to make sure that they use the correct tools for when they leave this city.
I don't even know what to say at this point. Like you just inspire me to be a better person, to be a better coach, to be a better administrator, a better fundraiser. The list goes on and on, all that you inspire me to do. So I committed to being in Richmond, and if I can make my way there in February, I'll be there.
Awesome.
Let's
I love that.
Yeah, let's figure out a way for me to get out there in February and be a part of this Futures Day. And through my experience, whether it's coaching or being an administrator in youth sports, Parks and Rec is a great opportunity to stay involved in baseball, as I've experienced over the last 10 years. So we could talk more about that. But
Yeah.
before we sign off, we are getting to the end of today's show, unfortunately. I got to ask you one very, very important question. Who's going to win the World Series?
So listen, I cannot cheer for the Yankees. I cannot. It is not in my blood. I will not cheer for the Yankees. So I am choosing the Dodgers, but more so, I am choosing Mookie Betts. I'm choosing Jazz Chisholm. I am choosing Aaron Judge.
Listen, and for those of you that don't know, those are players of great talent, bringing the game to unimaginable lengths, but are also minorities and give back to those like them in their communities. And so it doesn't surprise me, Sherry, that you're biggest fans of Mookie Blaylock and Jazz Chisholm and Curtis Granderson and Aaron Judge and CeCe Sabathia, and the list goes on. So, before we sign off, I want to give you one last opportunity, even though you've already done an amazing job. Sell Kids on First. Where can people find out more about you? How can they get in touch with you? How can they learn about the amazing work you're doing? Let's go. Give that elevator pitch. This is 30 seconds to raise a bunch of money. Have at it.
All right. So Kids on First Foundation gives kids in the underserved communities, specifically historically Black and Brown university areas, kids areas, underserved areas. We are helping bring access to the game of baseball. We cannot do that alone because everything obviously takes money, but it also takes dedication, which is something that I have to these communities to make things better and easier for them so that they can have the dreams that all the other kids are chasing. You can get in touch with me on my website, but my email is sherry@kidsonfirstfoundation.org. I'm going to drop it in the chat. I'm also on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. I am everywhere. I'm hoping to go to the ABCA this year. I'm looking forward to hopefully getting an invite to the winter meetings. So I'm going to be everywhere. Everywhere you see MLB and the Players Alliance, that's where I'm going to be. So hit us up. And I really can't wait to see what everybody is interested in learning more about.
Thank you. That was amazing. You did a better job. Have you ever thought about becoming an auctioneer? No, just kidding.
No.
Listen, I've been to many ABCA meetings. I was just at the most recent one in Dallas. One of my best friends in life is the assistant executive director, Ryan Brownlee. So I'm happy to put you in touch with him to make sure that you get to the next meeting as well. So there you have it, folks. Sherry did an amazing job. Go to kidsonfirstfoundation.org, send a few bucks their way. But before we sign off, like you, Sherry, I at the Appeal and Hail Auctions have great sponsors and great partners. One is the Tausi pillow, if you're not familiar. So we're going to ask for our commercial to get kicked off, and you'll learn a little bit more about one of our great partners in Tausi Brands.
Awesome. Thank you.
Falling asleep with your head in the wrong position is a pain in the neck. You deserve Tausi Comfort for head, neck, and back support. Go to tausibrands.com and get your comfort on.
And of course, in my creative brain and my how can I make things better for others? I'm like, well, Sherry runs a travel baseball organization and her players are traveling all over the country. And Tausi provides amazing travel accommodations and solutions for resting comfortably. We got to connect the two of you guys too to make sure some of your players can get some Tausis in the long run too. But Sherry, I knew the show was going to be a home run, but for lack of a better joke. But man, you hit this ball farther than Freddie Freeman did the other night, and so I can't thank you enough for all you do, for being here, for being my friend, and for, most importantly, making the game of baseball better for those that need it most. So I love you. I love all you're doing. I can't wait to get to Richmond as soon as possible and do some camps and clinics and future days, and anything I can do to help raise money for you. I'm committed to doing it at this point. And this is not the last you're going to hear of me, so be warned.
I'm excited. Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. With that being said, see you. Let's get to that outro. Have a great rest of your week, everybody. Hail, hail. And we'll see you again in 2 weeks. Bye.